facilitation of the first language or L1 in the learning of the second language in 5 domains. Now we will discuss how the first language of the learner allows the learner to learn the second language in supported by 5 different domains. So what are those 5 domains? The first domain is the affective domain. Affective relates to emotion. It relates to relevance, attachment, involvement, and several theories, not just socio-cultural theory, but other theories have also talked about the importance of emotion or investment of self in the learning of the second language. And this is where the first language of the learner can help by making relevance or by making the learning process more of sense. Then we move on to the social domain. The social domain of second language learning has also been emphasized by the sociocultural theory that we discussed in this article that you have. And we have also discussed its importance in our past modules by several different perspectives. So the first language of the learner then fosters or acceptance of ethnic diversity. It allows us to see that people or students can have different languages, and it is not pathological to have a different language. And all these languages that the learners bring to the class, even if you have a diverse multilingual class, it's perfectly all right because it is acceptable in the classroom. The third domain is the power domain. Now, the power domain means how language can actually be exploited, how it can be manipulated, how the replacement of certain words or positioning of certain words at the beginning of the sentence or at the end of the sentence, how the change of the tone by using the same utterance can actually reflect power structures. How can it highlight power relationships? So all relationships, we argue, are built or somehow positioned in a power structure. So how are these accepted or seen or recognized or established in the use of language? So this is possible when reference is made to the first language of the learner. And then we have this domain which we say cognitive domain. We have this cognitive approach to learning, and this cognitive domain is the main domain which cannot possibly be ignored because we are talking about a learning process, and language learning is simply also a learning process like or any other learning process, and this is what helps us to analyze language. So the first language again allows or facilitates by supporting the second language learning in the cognitive domain. And finally, we all have this performance domain. The performance domain actually allows the learner to use the language, that is the second language, more effectively by raising consciousness of how a language is used and how a word can have multiple meanings and how can they possibly express what they want to say in a more effective manner. So in all operational domains, these 5 domains that we talked about, it is the first language which is pivotal in facilitating the learning of the second language. And now we will move on to look at each of these domains in more detail.